All right, welcome everybody. I am so happy to introduce you all to Ruby Maddox, one of our Rainmaker consultants. Ruby, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so pleased that you've decided to join the Rainmaker team. It's your great addition. And I really look forward to our clients getting to know you like we all know you. And you come to us with some wonderful international experience as well as working with large and small not-for-profit organizations. So can you start by just sharing what inspired you to become a consultant with Rainmaker?
Yeah. Well, I had gotten into doing consulting through working, on my own, doing different stuff. But honestly, the biggest influence for me was being in nonprofit management, being the ED of a nonprofit and working with a consultant who was amazing and showed me, it basically saved our organization. And at the time, it pretty much really just solidified to me what this work could mean and what it could do, and that you could be in a position to help some organizations survive or just really do some awesome stuff. And so the idea of being a consultant with Rainmaker was just like, yeah, amazing, because it meant that I get to do more of that work.
Cool. That's great. Can you talk a little bit about some of the organizations that you've worked for and that have been especially interesting or exciting to you? Yeah.
Yeah, so the first organization that I co-founded was Gardening the Community. So that is a urban agriculture nonprofit that teaches kids how to grow food in the city, but also teaches them about food justice and things like that. And so that's in Springfield, Massachusetts. I also did a couple stints with Habitat for Humanity, and that was really fun. I'm actually still connected to the former ED who worked there, and yeah, I got to work for them here, got to work for Habitat for Humanity down in Florida once, and brought a bunch of students for their alternate spring break. Um, Worked with a lot of other food and justice and youth organizations, the Food Project in Boston. There was one, I think, Grow Food New London in Connecticut, and Youth Grow in Worcester. So a lot of those organizations. Um, yeah, and currently running a nonprofit that brings students to Ghana.
Wow. That's a lot.
So much.
That's awesome. It's very aligned with what we're committed to. And can you talk about like the fit for you and what made Rainmaker a good fit? What is it about what we're doing that feels aligned with the work you've been doing in your life or your values?
Yeah, so I basically have been familiar with Rainmaker for a long time, living here in the Valley. And again, I loved the impact that Rainmaker had on organizations here in the area, whether it was helping them, be able to put together a DEI plan to make sure that, they could live and walk their talk and live their mission. And I also just wanted to be a part of a team that shared a vision for what philanthropy could be.
Nice. I think that for a lot of us, that is a big perk is just having a team of smart colleagues that we can go to and ask questions of and work with. And yeah, it's awesome. So I know you've been and are currently an executive director, and you've had like what other roles have you played in your time? I would imagine you have a pretty wide array of different things that you've done in not-for-profit and probably even for-profit businesses. Is that right?
Yeah. So, I mean, as you said, the last thing you said, so one of my roles is a for-profit business. So, being a coaching consultant on my own before joining Rainmaker. And I think for my nonprofit, like with many nonprofits, you do a lot of things. You are the ED, you are the social media manager, you are the accountant. Uh, you're all those things. I think and you're the event manager sometimes. And so, we had a big old virtual summit, earlier this year. But also I got to do something like, collaborate with other organizations that were local and international to have, a big event, a big West Africa meetup of leaders back in 2018. And so that was fun.
Nice. That sounds really awesome. Like fun work to do. So Ruby, tell me, what kind of organizations are you passionate about? What makes your heart sing, and what ones are you most drawn to?
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in a lot of the ones that focus on social justice. That's what my organizations have been around, finding, making those connections for people. I think the biggest one for me, there is an organization called Starting Block that was about bringing together leaders from all over the world who were really purpose directed and purpose driven, and allowing them to kind of like be in a space where with other like-minded folks. I think I'm really passionate about spaces that create personal transformation for leaders who are also trying to make a change through their organizations. There's something about this road, this journey, this leadership journey that can feel really isolating and lonely and just not fun. And I feel like organizations that work on building up leadership and working on building up transformative leadership are ones that are really close to my heart. Yeah.
That's great. So Ruby, how do you see your work overlapping with a culture of philanthropy?
Sure, sure. I feel like the concept of a culture of philanthropy is that when we think about our philanthropic efforts, that it's a holistic process, right? It's not just about giving money. It's not just about the one time thing. I think I feel that any change, whether we're talking about leadership, philanthropy, or social justice, that it has to be inclusive. It has to be holistic. It has to be something that is about commitment for the long haul. And that's what I feel like the culture of philanthropy kind of like shows us.
That's great. That's awesome. All right, this is your last question, and it's the one that we're asking every one of the consultants. What is a weird fact that you know?
Weird fact that I know that if you are on layover in Egypt and you want to leave the airport, they will confiscate your passport until you come back, until it's time to go.
That's scary.
Oh yeah, especially if you don't know that.
Right. Did that happen to you?
It did happen to me and my group. They took all of our passports and we were like, what are you doing? What's happening? Why?
Oh my,
And it was just part of their procedure, but because they just never even explained that it was part of their procedure at the airport. They were just like, took all of our passports and started to walk away. And we were like, wait, what's happening?
but it ended up being fine. But it
It
was
ended up being fine. You get it back at the end. It's just what they do.
all right. Good to know for anybody who might be flying in or out of or laying over in Cairo. Or that's
Mhm.
was it in
Yep,
Cairo?
Cairo. Yep.
Great. Well, Ruby, thank you so much for having this conversation. Thank you so much for being a part of the Rainmaker team. It's awesome having you be a part of our work. And so, for all of those of you who are listening, I hope that you get to know Ruby even more. All right.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks.